it going, guys, and welcome to another episode of How To with ThatDomGuy. Today we're going to be taking a look at UFO engines. Now, this was originally started as a glitch, which is now a feature in the game. So I know a lot of you have no idea how to build them, or even what they are. People at what tab is that under? Well, it's not under any tab. It's not an actual engine. It's actually an upside-down hover pad with something jammed inside of it to give it some bizarre characteristics. I played with them a while ago in the beginning when I first saw them, but honestly, it was kind of a glitch. I don't like using glitches. I try and make everything as vanilla as possible, just so that anybody can build the things that I build as well. Now, the complexity and how they're built is a totally different story, but at least all the parts are there and it doesn't use any weird glitches. But I thought I'd show you guys the simple way that I have figured out how to use UFO engines. Now, there might be multiple other ways. There's other builds you could probably download and backwards engineer, take them apart, see how it's built. But this is the simplest way that I've found, and one of the easiest ways that I've found. So let's start with a simple seat. Now, there are weird behavior characteristics with using a UFO engine, so you do have to take that into consideration whenever you're building something. That if you're looking for something that has control in all axes, well, you're probably not going to get that with UFO engines. UFO engines like to go fast, forward. Steering can be tricky. Fairly easy to break the sound barrier using UFO engines as well. But again, you have to find that fine balance between speed and controllability. So let's just start with a simple seat. We'll start with our nice small basic seat here. We'll come into our engines tab, we'll grab a hover pad, and we'll flip that over right there on the back. Now on the back side here, direction does count with these, so I'm going to grab a small angled piece, connect that onto the back there. Now we're going to grab a small square deuce here, and we'll put that right on the back as well, because we will need some to connect some steering on the back of that, so we'll need connection points. Now on these front side here, we're going to grab a couple of small hinges. Always tend to keep green as the default angle that they want to move at, so I tend to keep that in the direction that I want to keep them moving at. So we're going to select these two small hinges that are set here, green facing down. We are going to select that to number 1, and we're going to toggle that so that it stays on. We'll get rid of controls for the other one. Speed doesn't really matter. Now this is where it gets kind of tricky. We'll set the angle to 5, which is the smallest that you can set it to. So we'll set that to there. Now this is where I find is the important part, the pieces that you actually use to wedge into your hover. So I'm going to go to my slope pieces down to the end here, and we have these pieces right here, which is our half concaved curved piece. We want to pop that in, and we want to have our two center pieces wedged together like this with the round part at the back. Now also, the direction that you set your hinges and this portion that you're jamming in, I guess, the throttle we'll call it, the direction the throttle is facing determines which direction you're going to go. So as we can see here, we've got everything from behind the seat facing behind. So let's just build this into the world right now and see what this does. So we'll just build that in. We'll jump in the seat, and as you can see, it wants to jump around a little bit just because there's something over the hover pad. So it's going, hey, what's going on? What's going on? So we'll hit number 1 to jam that in at 5 degrees. And we're doing 260 miles an hour in a heartbeat. Now, as you can see, we get this funky behavior because it wants to stay level. It wants to stay horizontal. As soon as it goes angled, as soon as you jump out of the seat, it stops as well. As soon as you go on an angle or upside down, the hover pad glitch wants to behave really erratically. It'll just suddenly stop. So you can see 250 miles an hour. And again, no stabilizers in any direction, so we're just going to flippity flop as soon as we catch any kind of air resistance. So how we deal with that is now we just need some control. So as you can see, 250 miles an hour with one core. Boom. Now we also have some drag at 250. Now watch the difference here. I'm going to come down here and grab some slope pieces, long slopes. Again, aerodynamics. Put that right against the seat because we have a piece of the hover pad here that's sticking out. And if I go up to my aerodynamics tab, we'll see here we got lots of red. Lots of red. This orange we can't do anything about, unfortunately, because there's no way to put anything in front of this piece to cut the aerodynamics there. That's a moving piece. But we can get rid of the red on this side by copying this piece over. As you can see, now we have green on either side. The front side here, again, all red, so that's nice and slow. So we'll just come down here, and great way to get rid of that. Let's just put a long nose on it. Now, this is not for control, and this isn't a suggested way to keep the front end of your build, but this is a great way to eliminate those red arrows and that drag. So with something like that, now we can look at our aerodynamics, and we can see that the only thing is just the top of the seat here. And you can see the seat box, the hit box actually sticks out just above these. That's okay, we got the majority green. So we haven't added anything except a weight. So now if we build it in and we jump in and we hit number 1, we flop all over the place like an idiot. Okay, as you can see, we have no stabilization here, so let's go back to our spawn point. We need something here to keep us going in a straight line. Let's go back into our build mode, and let's drop a couple of stabilizers like that. Now again, weight is a big thing here as well. Our thrust is all coming from back here, so we want to try and keep our stabilization somewhat centered, even. Let's see if this helps. This will keep us in a straight line for sure. As we can do 370, 380. Oh, look at this. See, that's how you discover new and interesting ways to build things in Trailmakers. Slap stuff together and see if you can make yourself a spinning arrowhead of death. Alright, let's try this. Going straight and try and keep it level here. Again, all our weight is above that point, which is why it wants to keep spinning. So in order to counter that, to make it so it's not flipping over all the times, we are going to be putting a couple of these ones right here. We're going to be moving them to the back like this. Copy this one this side. Now we have control. It's all about the control. Maybe we don't want these up here. Maybe we move them to the back. As long as they're not on these two pieces here that are moving, we're gonna be okay. Now we come to the back like this. Now let's try this. Let's try this. This way. Go! As you see, it wants to go up. 330. And it's upside down and just about stops to 0. As long as we can keep it horizontal. Come on. Oh, now it wants to just go nose down. It's very difficult to get the nose back up once it's going a nose down. Here we go. It's crazy missiles crashing into the deck. Go! Bounce? No, no bounce. Not so much of a bounce. Alright, so once we have that in place, now we need to find some way to control this thing, keep the nose down. So one way, let's get rid of these aerodynamic arrows here. One way you can try is we can move some wings up to the front and try just using this seat steering. We can put some stability up front there, build that into the world, jump in there, hit number 1. As you can see, it's definitely keeping us flatter. I'm pushing down right now to try and get the nose down. Seat steering's not having much effect. 330 miles an hour. Yeah, seat steering is not so strong when you're going this fast. When you are slow, it is okay. So let's hit number 1. Turn off our jammer throttle. As you can see, we almost come to a standstill. Jam it. Yeah, we definitely need something to keep that front end up. Alright, so what I would suggest, if we put any kind of steering up front here, then you're going to get really sharp, really erratic movement. So what I would tend to do is put a couple of more small hinges back here. And then just use something that's very light as far as resistance to the air. So the small paddle, which you see on a lot of UFO engine builds, because it's nice and lightweight and it doesn't have a lot of drag, so it doesn't create a lot of resistance. It's not really harsh turning or really quick turning. So we want to set these. Oh, see, the problem here is now we have these ones on there. Okay, let's put these ones right on top of the moving piece. And these ones we will set, again, I want green up. Green up, okay? Select these, S and W, and the speed is going to be 0.1 slow speed, and say 20 degrees for angle. And now we try that to see if it make any difference, good or bad. Number 1, going up, going down. Can we go down? Oh, see what I mean by quick movements? You don't want that. That's not good. It's not good. Okay, so we have this in the back. So maybe now we take the wings off the front. Maybe we don't want it doing a spazzy thing like that. So we go like this. We hit number 1. Now we have no wings in the front to grab to make bad moves. 350. We have some minor control with this little fin here. He's slowing us down. Gets us level at least. So we have a good roll with the seat. We have a little bit control with the small fin in the back. We're doing 350 miles an hour. It's not bad for one core. Not bad. So again, a lot of little variations in using the UFO engine to get it to actually work properly. Weight is an issue as well. It only has so much power, but aerodynamics is really a big factor. If you're really aerodynamic, then you're just gonna fly. You're probably gonna end up breaking the sound barrier. As you can see, this is doing 350, 360 miles an hour with one core, no thrusters, nice and quiet. You can actually steer. Too much control areas on these things will actually just cause you to flip around. But again, play with them. Your settings, your controls. Start with small movements, small, slow movements, and then slowly increase them and continually test it. And you should be able to make yourself a nice, fast, UFO-powered flyer. I hope that helped you guys out. I know this is something that a lot of people don't know about, or couldn't take the time to try and figure out themselves. There's a lot of small nuances. So I hope this gives you some information that you can use to build yourself a UFO-powered spaceship, flyer, hovercraft. Usually works with anything that wants to stay level or anything in the air, things on the ground. You can make them on the ground, don't get me wrong, but requires a little more downforce to keep you on the ground, because as soon as it gets angled, it just wants to take off. Speed really gives you a lot of lift. Alright, so thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing. Hit that like button. Leave a comment down below if there's any other questions that you have. I'll try and answer them. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Ciao.